Hello, this is Daryl Jones, Deputy Director of the Tallahassee-Leon County Office of Economic Vitality, and today we are capturing champions. This interview series is presented by the Tallahassee-Leon County Office of Economic Vitality. This conversation is important because in these conversations, it is our intention to equip minority and women owned businesses with the knowledge, the strategies, the encouragement, and the confidence to start and grow their businesses in this local economy. But it's also a casual conversation with the men and women and businesses and institutions that champion the expansion and the creation of minority and women owned businesses in this local community. And this conversation could not be better poised for today, that we should have a fantastic champion for our minority and women-owned businesses. In fact, for entrepreneurship in our community. I'm happy to have with us the Regional Director of the Florida A&M University Small Business Development Center, Mr. Keith Bowers.
Thank
Keith,
you, Daryl. Thank you. It's nice to be here. Good to see you again. Always a pleasure.
Keith, I am you didn't know this. I started a fan club for you, appointed myself president, treasurer, and secretary. I even collect the dues, right? Because when I got into this work, most specifically with the Tallahassee-Leon County Office of Economic Vitality, and we had been in the same space, but when I got this formal title, you took me under your wing, and I learned a great deal from you. And we've been able to work, and as they would say in the church, co-labor in the vineyard together to help our minority women-owned business. So I'm happy to have you to be a part of this Capturing Champion radio series.
Well, it's nice to be here once again, and thank you for all of your support over the years, because you're right. It is a lot of work, but it helps when you have good, willing partners.
That's right. Well, as Christina Paredes at OEB likes to say, economic development is a team sport.
Absolutely.
All right. And so thank you for being a great quarterback in this. So Keith, a lot of people, you enjoy a stellar reputation. I'm happy to tell our audience that last year you were our Economic Development Champion of the Year. You've been the Regional Director of the FAMU Small Business Development Center for 13 years now?
11 years.
11.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
I even added 2 more years. That's how great your impact has been. But I want to tell, but I don't know that everyone knows your story and how you got to this place.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've been working at Small Business Development Center for 11 years, but prior to that, I had my own consulting company where I consulted with municipalities, nonprofit organizations, and faith-based organizations in the areas of economic development and community development. So started the company was called the Bowers Group. It started back in 2003, and had the pleasure to work with Reverend R.B. Holmes in developing the first mixed income subdivision in Frenchtown called Carolina Oaks. So that's how I got my feet wet here in Tallahassee, and just really in doing that level of work, really got an appreciation for trying to enhance the quality of life for everybody in the community. And so when you start looking at, working in Frenchtown and those areas and helping municipalities and small businesses and nonprofit organizations, is really, at the grassroots level what really attracted me to this type of work.
Well, you certainly had impact. I remember the Carolina Oaks project. It was like unlike anything that we had seen as a business development project created by us, for us, to meet the needs of an underserved minority community, to provide a diversity of footprints in this historic neighborhood in terms of the character and the design of the homes that were being made available. They were both mixed design, mixed income.
Right.
Tell us more about that, because that was an enormous project. In fact, it occurred simultaneously with the project that we were doing at Bethlehem Church.
Right.
For first-time home buyers over in Bond.
Yeah, it was, prior to the church, purchasing the property there, as you know, Frenchtown had really become like an epicenter for all types of illicit activities. And Reverend Holmes saw the opportunity to, create a model community where you would have people who worked outside of Frenchtown to come back and live in Frenchtown, because it's usually the other way around. But he wanted to sort of restore, Frenchtown to where it was prominent before segregation. And so he wanted to make sure that, doctors and university professors, city workers, teachers, first responders had a safe, decent place to live and a place that they would be proud of. So that's what Frenchtown used to be. And he felt that by ushering in Carolina Oaks, he could kind of begin to return it to its former glory. So that was one of the best projects I'd ever worked in. As a matter of fact, my wife and I bought our first house in Carolina Oaks. Okay. So it was just, came full circle.
And what a lot of folks don't understand is or may not be aware of, is that economic development can be manifest in a variety of forms and programs, as well as enabled by a variety of different institutions.
Absolutely.
We know that the church has enormous economic impact when we see projects like this, oftentimes with a social justice or social services impact, but yet at the same time still creating economic opportunity, creating generational wealth. And I thought that was a fantastic project. And so did you leave from that to then go to the Family Small Business Development Center?
No. I left from that once we completed the Carolina Oaks. I started working with some other nonprofit development entities in Pensacola and Panama City, and even out in California. And then while I was doing that work, in real estate, the market started to tank. 2008. And
I felt the same thing at Bethlehem Church.
So everything just went dark as it related to, housing. So at that time, I started doing some other types of consulting work. And then I got a call from Dean Friday Stroud and said that she wanted me to serve as the interim regional director at the Small Business Development Center. So I went out to Innovation Park, not knowing what they were doing out there, and really got immersed in the mission and the opportunities that existed, and just kind of fell in love with it because, my background is in banking and finance, and so, helping people and being in a position to help people even more so than I could from sitting behind the desk as a loan officer was just so appealing to me.
Now, I've got to take us back right quick before we delve into the more meatier issues. Tell me, you say when you had your Bowers Group business and you were providing consultancy in Panama City, Bay County.
Right.
Tell us about your relationship with the city on the water.
Oh, man. I'm born and raised in Panama City. My father was a principal there, worked in the Bay County School District for 36 years until he retired. And my mom worked at HRS, which is now called the Department of Children and Families.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was HRS. And so grew up there in, a black community where there was a large sense of pride among our neighbors, and, a lot of pressure on you to do well and not to embarrass your parents or all that type of stuff. So, having all that under my belt, decided that, I wanted to go back to Panama City after graduating from the School of Business and Industry, go back and see if I can make an impact there. So I got an offer to be a loan officer, and I accepted the position, and I should have done my research because I realized when I got there, I was the first black loan officer in Bay County. And that created a lot of different challenges and opportunities. But I saw it mostly as an opportunity to really do something to help, low-income families and minority individuals. So I eventually became the Community Reinvestment Act officer at the bank. So I had an opportunity to do a lot of different things on a lot of different fronts.
That had a whole lot of impact, I'm sure.
Yes.
Particularly in those communities for which you had been most aware of.
Right.
That you were growing up
And that's
in.
the thing, too, about, this work, and I'm sure you can attest, this work, you are involved at the grassroots level with so many people, and you have to be accountable. I mean, you go to church, and you see those people that have come to your office for help, or you go to the grocery store and you bump into somebody. And that's one of the things that I think is most important. For people who are involved in trying to uplift the community, have to be accessible and you have to be accountable.
Well, that's why I think leadership determines attitude. It also determines trajectory. It also leadership determines perspective as well. So I think that is one of the things that I think has been critical to FAMU Small Business Development Center's success and its impact. Your footprint includes how many counties?
8 counties.
8 counties.
Correct.
So the fact that you went to FAMU, grew up in Bay, and then all of the areas in between there, you are aware of Gadsden, Jefferson, Jackson County, right?
Right.
Those areas are not foreign to you.
Right.
So you bring a. Do you think I'm sure your rearing has had some credit to do with your success as our regional director?
I would like to think so, yes, because again, I have an appreciation for the challenges and the real life struggles that a lot of people have, and then also the appreciation for helping people to accomplish their dreams and equipping them with the resources and tools that they need to be successful. I think that's probably one of the most significant rewards that I take away from what I do.
Let me ask you this. So tell me this. Why? Let's talk about the Family Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
Let's talk about why is it so critical to our community right now?
Right now, I think it's more critical than ever because of, I think if we've learned nothing from the devastation that we witnessed during COVID, is the fragility of women and minority-owned businesses. 41% of minority-owned businesses went out of business during COVID, compared to 17% of our white counterparts. So that speaks volumes to how fragile the business environment is in the Black community. So being able to marshal resources, leverage partnerships like with the Office of Economic Vitality, financial institutions, and working on several fronts to try to figure out, what resources are needed and how do we get these resources in the hands of people that can take advantage of them? Because I think that is what I've learned most about working through the COVID pandemic is that, it is such a, everything is volatile. And if we're not equipping people with the things that they need to withstand the next storm, then I think we'll start to see a further decline. So I think timing it right now is critical. While we have the attention of corporate sponsors, while we have the attention of municipalities and the federal government, I just think it's an opportune time for us to take advantage of that and do as much as we can to support minority and women-owned businesses.
Well, Keith, there are two narratives that persist right now. Mm-hmm. It's like Sturm and Drang, right? Fire and ice. Some who say we've turned a corner, and others who say that things are as bad as or worse than they've ever been. Tell me what you think. If you were to read the tea leaves, particularly in our local economy,
right,
Tallahassee-Leon County specifically, what do you see? What as you read the tea leaves, what do you think? What do you think are emerging trends right now? Have we turned a corner, or are things worse than ever?
I think we've turned a corner, to be quite honest with you. I think prior to COVID, what we started to see in our community was the melding of minds of people who wanted to see a difference in the community. And it wasn't just, us versus them mentality. You had the municipality, you had the city of Tallahassee, you had Leon County, you had the financial institutions all coming together to say we need to make a change in our community. And I think, with everybody's talking about the entrepreneurial ecosystem and how, that could be viewed as a really strong resource to help continue to vitalize the community. I think everybody was on the same page. I mean, you think about when your shop got started, it made a big splash, and the things that you guys are doing are just phenomenal. But you had to have the leadership, like you talked about. You had to have the leadership at top to have the vision to see that And then also to begin to break down these silos and say, hey, I can't win if you lose. That's just a
Right.
net sum game.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody needs to cross the finish line at the same time.
Right, right, and I think that's what has been critical as a person who has observed the success of the Family Small Business Development Center. Your impact is seen in every facet of what we call the entrepreneurial ecosystem. There is there's no idea in the capable hands of you and your team that is a bad idea, or that comes, or anyone who comes who cannot be served. And I think that's why we've seen the diversity of success coming out of your shop, and then equipped with the intelligence of your team, they're able to take persons and be able to help them to make those next steps. I'm interested in knowing what businesses that you have been involved in that make you most proud.
I would say, as a disclaimer, the clients that we service, typically we don't discuss them because of our confidentiality agreement. But I can talk to you about the ones that have allowed us to,
Right.
by signing releases. So I would say probably most proud of right now. There's several.
Okay.
There's several.
I'm not putting you on the spot. I don't mean to put you on the spot,
no.
but I would love for you to talk about how, if it's permissible,
Sure.
what did you do to help to take up to get them there?
Well, as you know, Elite Business Services, run by Princess Osley. She was she won the WBE award a couple of years ago. When Princess came to us, she had she had an idea, and she really needed assistance in figuring out how she can scale her business. And she wanted to focus on government contracting. And for those of you who might not be familiar, she sells office supplies, and she works with different municipalities in emergency management. But it's a lot of staffing, procurement, office supplies. But she had a hard time, really, cracking the code to get into that stream of commerce.
Right.
But what we were able to do is to leverage our resources with the Small Business Administration. We helped her to get her 8A certification. We made sure that she was certified with the Office of Economic Vitality, as well as Department of Management Services. And her business took off. She won the state contract to provide office supplies. And it's just right now, it's just her and Office Depot that are allowed to provide office supplies to the state of Florida. So it was almost an overnight success for her. And because of her dedication and her willingness to put in the work, it made it a lot easier, really. It made it a lot easier. So, those are always rewarding, conversations to have, because you have someone that has an idea and has a dream, and if you can play a part of helping them actualize that dream, it's just, words are, I struggle to find words to describe, how impactful that is.
Well, tell me some more about what you know has been FAMU SBDC's impact on our local economy. Tell us how the important role that your organization plays in having impact on the local economy.
Well, our key performance indicators, what lets us know that we're doing a good job, is the number of business starts that we help entrepreneurs launch. Sales, through our assistance, how they increase their sales, how successful they are at obtaining contracts from government, and then how well we do in helping them secure capital. And so those are our key performance indicators. And so in sales for 2020 alone, in sales, our clients reported that our services helped them increase their sales on an aggregate level of $409 million in 1 year. We helped our clients with almost $25 million in secure capital. They created 2,600 jobs, and we had 24 business starts. So when you think about that, that's 2 business starts a month. So that is, for us, that is the economic impact. And for every $1 that is invested into the Small Business Development Center, we have demonstrated that there is a $40 return on that investment to the local community.
Wow. And I mean, this goes back. You may most people don't know this. I worked for you for a while when you first got the job. I was one of your entrepreneurial trainers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you forgot. It occurred to me as I'm listening you talk, because it reminds me of one of the things I used to teach in entrepreneurship. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
absolutely.
And that is why one of the things that our office always does, we refer all of our new certifying firms to make sure that they engage with you, that they have the SBDC experience. And that's why I know that the services you provide, particularly helping people to write their business plans and helping them to organize their information, if we're talking about business creation and business expansion, being prepared, having a roadmap, a business plan goes a long way to making certain that you have a better shot at success.
That's right. That's right. And then you're right. Absolutely. We think that's where the rubber hits the road. Getting yourself organized, making sure you know what resources you need, making sure that you've done your homework, your market research. A lot of times people come in and say, well, I want to start a cheesecake factory here in Tallahassee. And I'll say, well, have you done your market research? What does the numbers tell you? Because I realized that if there was a demand for a cheesecake factory in Tallahassee, we'd have one.
We'd have one.
So it's just making sure people are aware of the amount of work and the amount of market research and analysis that go into it. It's just like just don't decide that you're going to start a business and invest your life savings or quit your day job to pursue that opportunity.
Right. And I mean, y'all are dream builders.
Yeah, but I tell people too, a lot of entrepreneurs think of their businesses or their business ideas as their babies, and they're real protective. But sometimes you got to be realistic. Some people have ugly babies.
Right.
And you have to be in the position to where you can tell them. You have to be able to tell them that, because again, I don't want to see people, make mistakes and some things that they won't be able to recover from. And then maybe there's a better idea or a more pragmatic idea,
right,
or that will work. So,
I agree. That's and I think that's critical, right? Well, that's why the role that you play, and I can't underplay that. The role that you play in our community is so enormously critical. Here we have you got a full staff, persons who are also, as you described, who are entrenched in the community, who are evidencing their own individual as well as the collaborative success of the Small Business Development Center. So tell me a little bit more about your collaboration. You have an enormous footprint. How do you make that work? You're a regional Small Business Development Center and have several counties. Tell us where all you serve and how do you make it work in those respective counties?
Well,
far from the beaten path.
Yeah, we go as far west as Liberty County and as far east as Madison-Taylor, and we cover every county in between. And we do that by creating partnerships with the chambers there. If they have an EDC presence, we'll
EDC?
Yeah, Economic Development Council.
Okay.
If they have a presence there, we'll work with them. If the universities have an extension program, like in Wakulla, we work with those extension programs. FAMU is doing a phenomenal job in Franklin County with their outreach. So we partner with the folks on the ground there as well. But it's all about, letting people know what value you bring to the table. And all of our services are provided at no cost.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that people are aware of our capacity and how it could benefit their respective communities. And then, after being able to demonstrate what we've done in the past in our track record, a lot of times it's an easy sell because everybody wants to know, well, how much is it going to cost? And when we tell them it's at no cost, they're like, well, what you waiting on? So, but again, it's really having those relationships. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have relationships with the Office of Economic Vitality, all three chambers, our financial institutions, our institutions of higher learning, not just at FAMU, but FSU and TCC.
Right.
because, like you said, it's a team sport, and no one has all the resources under one roof. So you really, to be impactful, you really have to begin to build that network.
I think you're very, very right. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Tell me again about some of the services that y'all offer at FAMU Small Business Development Center for those persons who don't know.
Well, we provide customized consulting services. We help with business plan reviews, feasibility analysis. We help you identify sources of capital. We do financial analysis, market research, website development, strategic planning, succession planning. Help clients develop marketing plans. So it's a full service business support center.
Fantastic. So, tell me this, and you're a subject matter expert. Uh, my area of responsibility is minority and women owned and small businesses. What do you think would be a recommendation for us singularly, collaboratively to heighten opportunity for minority women and small businesses?
I think that we should really have a holistic and realistic conversation about the gaps in their capacity, and then, like we have done in the past, really go back and see how we, as respective support organizations, can craft different responses to those gaps. I mean, the microloan program came from a conversation that you had with folks at the chamber and financial institutions and representatives from the Small Business Development Center, and trying to identify, well, where is the shortfall?
Right.
And because of your leadership and being able to connect the dots, we now have three viable microloan programs where in the past we had nothing that would address the needs for those small businesses.
Well, let me say this. I appreciate your saying that, but let me also share with our audience that you are not new to this, right? In terms of supplier diversity issues, there was a Blue Ribbon Task Force
Right.
that you were a part of, right, that made recommendations to our joint city and county commission that led to the consolidation of the MWSBE program. It was a part of your recommendations that helped us to move the needle forward to provide being able to offer our community a legally defensible
With the
program
disparity
with the
study.
disparity study
Right.
that you all recommended, and out of that came brand new consolidated policies. So I want you to know that your impact has certainly been felt. That's why I'm the president of your fan club. You're the reason I got this job. Did you know that? Because Keith Bowers and a group of concerned citizens said that we could do better and amplify here in the 10th most intelligent city in the country.
True.
There was no reason why we could not optimize opportunity for minority and women-owned businesses in our local ecosystem. What a program that was a generate, more accurate representation of what our community spending had been with minority firms.
Absolutely, and I think that having the infrastructure to execute that vision is key, and you guys haven't missed a beat on that, and you continue to refine the services that you provide, and to be quite honest with you, you continue to reach out to those stakeholders to make sure that we're on point. So
Right.
I appreciate your efforts in that too.
Well, let me tell you, one of the things that I think has become real critical for us is making certain that we get our narrative out. Right.
Yes.
We've got to pierce the noise, right?
Right,
Because there's a
it's
whole lot of
a
noise.
lot of noise.
Right now, Keith, I will tell you. Do you character? Do you? Is it a mischaracterization to call you one of the best kept secrets in town?
I would say we're growing out of that that whole stigmatism. I think that we are emerging. When I first started, to be quite candid with you, everyone thought that the Small Business Development Center at FAMU was only for FAMU students and people of color. And so everybody there was a dividing line. So the white businesses would seek resources from Jim Moran Institute and FSU, and the black businesses would seek assistance at FAMU. I think what we have been successful at doing is letting people know that our services are available for everyone in the community, and that we have the resources. And I got to take this opportunity to brag on my staff, because we were fortunate enough to really recruit some folks with industry expertise and training and education to provide, high quality services for folks. And once we started to demonstrate that, the floodgates started to open up. People started to refer folks to the SBDC, where in the past they had not. So I'm hoping to grow out of that, but every day, I got my shirt on today, and people are like, what does that stand for? And I tell them, and they say, well, I didn't know that existed. But I just think that it's probably more so my marketing budget isn't as big as yours, but
your mouth ain't as big as mine.
That's true.
But one of the things that I thought you did that was most important, you came from out of Innovation Park.
Yeah, that's true. Because we
when
were
you came
off the
with
beaten path.
You were off the beaten path. You had no signage out there.
Right.
I know where you were. I had to guess where to find you. And I thought when you came and you got some frontage, you got some signage, you're on the main drag, right? I thought that was going a long way. Then you I can understand where there may have been, because we are one of many small business development centers that are associated with state universities across the state. FAMU has had this program for a number of years, but because of your footprint, I know of businesses that you started down on the coast.
Yeah.
Y'all have been an important conduit and facilitator of aquaculture in this community.
Yes, that's true.
I had to take it to food.
Yeah.
so talk about that too. We know we're seeing your impact here here locally. Let's talk about the jobs that you're creating on the coast.
Yeah. So I guess it's been about 6 years ago. A gentleman by the name of Rob Olin came in and had this idea. And honestly, Daryl, it was like a scene out of a movie. He came to my office and he threw 2 bags of oyster shells on my desk. One heavy bag and one light bag. And I'm like, what in the world is this guy doing? And he said, well, I want to go into the oyster farming business, and you see these big clunky oysters, those are your traditional oysters. You see these pristine oysters, here are the ones that I have farmed. And I got this idea, and I think it's going to take off. And at that time, the state had begun leasing plots of waterfront for ranchers to begin to ranch oysters. And it was a pioneering adventure, to say the least. But we were able to help him take his idea, put it on paper, and apply for a small business loan through SBA. And SBA was scratching their head because they'd never seen anything like that before.
Right.
So, but we were able to help him develop a solid business plan where he got approved on the first submission of his SBA loan, and he has not looked back since. Right now he's in Whole Foods. He is in restaurants, hotels. As far north as the Eastern Seaboard, because they just have a great product, and he's got a really good knack at getting in front of folks and selling. So helping folks like that create jobs, and especially in those I wouldn't say depressed, but definitely you don't have a lot of economic activity that's taking place, and just being able to leverage that creativity to help someone create jobs and begin to make an impact on their respective communities is important.
I agree. I love that story, and you and I both love oysters.
That's right.
In fact, Michael, we're going to go get some after this. We've already made those plans, right? What I'm hoping that our listeners will realize that that our community is fortunate that one, we have a small business development center. Not only do you provide the technical assistance with persons for persons, you're also our local SBA administrator. So that means we have federal dollars that are available.
Right.
No matter what size of your business, there is no idea so great or opportunity so significant that you cannot be a resource for in terms of being able to identify financial resources that are available for those businesses, to include the ones that you provide most directly through the SBA as their local packager. So so help me with this so my listeners can really understand it most clearly. I want to open up a shoe store
Okay.
for oversized shoes,
Okay.
right? For persons who need to wear shoes that are not found in the ordinary shoe store, or not readily available or identified even online.
Okay.
So I want to start the business. I have nothing but an idea, born of my own bad feet.
Okay.
Tell me what happens when I come and enjoy the FAMU SBDC experience.
Well, first thing we're going to do is talk to you about your idea and where you think it can go, because we think that's important. We want to make sure that it's firmed up enough to where you think that it could be received in a positive manner in the marketplace. So we're going to ask you a bunch of hard questions like, well, how many more people are there like you, and what are the margins? Have you seen stores in other markets? And let us try to figure out if there's, do some demographic studies based on our market here. So we're going to first, again, start to poke holes in your idea, not to discourage you, but to sort of get it to the place where if we identify some challenges, then we try to figure out how can we overcome those challenges.
Because it might not just be simply shoes.
It might be something else,
The
right?
business makes the idea based upon what you will do in your market research with my idea.
Right.
It may be even greater than shoes.
Absolutely.
It might be prosthetics and orthotics and other things like that.
Absolutely. But identifying people like you and how many other people are like you that have, because in business, everything's about a pain point. We don't buy products or services because of what they are, but we buy them because what they can do for us, what problems they solve for us. So we have to figure out, what problems are you going to be able to solve with your shoe stores? And again, is it feasible? Does it make sense? And does it make money? Because if it's not making money, then it's just it's just a hobby.
It don't make sense.
Right. That's right. Right. Absolutely.
Man, this is a great conversation. So I come and see you. You do the market research. Then what happens?
Then we basically talk to you about the resources. We say, well, if you're going to have a retail location, where does it make sense for you to open that?
Uh-huh.
How much is it going to cost? How much do you have to borrow? And then we start crunching the numbers with putting together some projections and to see if it is a financially viable venture. And then we help you develop your marketing plan. Well, how are you going to let people know that you've got Daryl's special shoes, located on South Monroe? How are we going to let people know? How are we going to advertise? What's your unique selling proposition? So then we start to kind of get into some of the more softer skills like marketing and branding, and awareness, public awareness, and make sure that you have the capacity to do that. We will also determine, does Daryl yourself, do you have the experience to run a business? What makes you think that you could be the manager of this business? Do you have, the training? Do you have the background? Do you have the expertise to do it? So it is a very comprehensive assessment of your idea. And again, before you quit OEV to start this, and you're just on a wing and a prayer, we want to make sure that you're aware of all the challenges that you might face, the opportunities that exist, and then it's not a linear path to success. we want to make sure that if you have to, if you have to take some diversions before you get to that successful place, that you know how to overcome those obstacles and get back on the right path. So it's customized consulting services.
One more time.
Customized consulting services.
And therein lies the benefit. I remember they used to bandy a term about, I believe I first heard it back when Dr. Ammons was the president, communiversity.
Yeah.
Right, about us, about FAMU having a presence in our local community, and to that end, and how that influence is felt outside of just what we know has been our bread and butter, and that's been instruction and also research. But then there's also a compelling community point, and here are persons who may never ever step foot on the campus and never enroll in a class, but yet they can take advantage of the services you have to provide to create jobs and have long-term impact.
Definitely. Yeah.
Creative. I'm going to come back to you about that shoe idea. I promise I will.
Okay.
So let me ask you this: is there what you say? When I ask, are we making a turn? Are we at a turning point? What do you think are some of the biggest challenges for minority and women-owned businesses in this local ecosystem?
I think the biggest challenges are access to capital, which has always been a challenge. And, but again, we're making strides in trying to correct that. And
we've been listening.
Yeah, exactly. We've been listening and we've heard folks. But access to capital is one. Access to opportunity, I think, is key also. Mm-hmm. And making sure people are aware of the opportunities that exist in our community and how they can position themselves to take advantage of those opportunities. Really doing a internal inventory of your company to see if you have what it takes to compete at the next level or to move to the next stage. I think that's going to be important for our minority businesses. You got to be, look in the mirror and not be afraid to make any corrections that you see. And that's what we do. I mean, we sort of help you hold that mirror up in terms of, where can your business be enhanced? Okay. What are some of the things that can be accentuated, and what are some of the things that can be improved? Okay. But I think if we all start to look at our capacity and be realistic and honest with ourselves and really want to make the change as it relates to furthering your business, I think that is one of the things that we really need to reinforce with, especially with minority and women-owned businesses, because the opportunities are there. It's just that when that opportunity becomes available, are you prepared?
Are you prepared?
Right.
Well, you and I are working on some projects right now to prepare our MWSBEs. Without being specific, let's talk about what you think is next
for the community.
For our community, in terms of the local economy.
With all of the capital infrastructure projects and different things that are taking place across the county and within this region, I think the opportunities for not only retail, but construction services and more specific professional services around construction, I think are going to be what's needed. And I think that's going to represent a great opportunity for a lot of businesses. The stance that our city leadership has taken on minority and women-owned participation. So for every contracted dollar that comes out from the county or the city, 23% is the aspirational goal for minority participation. So when you start to look at all the capital projects that we have in the pipeline,
right,
those are some great opportunities, and that has the potential to create untold capacity for minority and women-owned businesses. So again, it's just being able to take advantage of those opportunities when they come about. But I just think that we've got a robust community. Amazon is here. The airport is expanding. We're doing a new police station, a fire station, a senior center.
Right.
Housing authority
Orange Avenue
is
right.
doing their thing. We're revitalizing South Monroe. So I just think that the timing is right, and if we can continue that momentum, I think
Right.
we'll start to see a lot more successful, not only existing businesses but successful startup businesses.
What do you think if there is any, what do you think is the principal threat now? So the principal threat, I would say, to maintaining this pivoting we're doing in our local economy. What do you think is the greatest threat to that?
Distraction. You mentioned it earlier, the noise. The noise. You have to be able to drown out that noise and focus on your mission, and realize that not everybody wants to see you succeed.
No.
But you going into that knowing that affords you the opportunity to discount that. But
Right.
I just say you got to stay focused, and you have to. Again, it kind of gets back to your value proposition. What are your core competencies, and not try to be something that you're not. Not try to overpromise. But if you stick to the things that you're good at and you're
Right.
successful at, and offer that to our community at large, I think that's the biggest threat. Not being able to focus and get distracted, because we've got the infrastructure in place. We've got a very friendly, business friendly community,
Right.
and a lot of support around the community. So I just think as long as you're diligent and stay focused, you'll be successful.
Those are words to live by. Brother, friend, for FAMU SBDC, what's next up the pipeline?
Man, and I'm so excited. We had a very good year. 2021 was a very good year for us. We had our highest in terms of client engagement. Right now, we're assisting over 700 clients in our client pool. We were just awarded a grant from Wells Fargo for $100,000 to start a small business incubator. We're calling it the Founders Accelerated Navigation Guide, or FANG.
Right.
And so that is going to open the door for a lot of minority and women-owned businesses, where we can have a more focused, concentrated effort in terms of helping small businesses. We'll be able to wrap around them, have a facility for them to come, a co-working space, along with specific training and programming. So we're just thrilled to be at this position going into 2022.
I think that's going to be very critical for all of us. Um, I just want to thank you. You are certainly one of our principal champions. You have your impact, the services that you've provided. Uh, it goes with, it deserves mentioning that when we, as a local community, as a local economy, were going through the throes of the pandemic, it was a technical assistance that you were able to provide countless businesses that were able to keep people employed, keep their doors open, serve, provide their services, as well as then be prepared to be ready for what was then um, a change in the climate.
Absolutely.
But had they not been able to weather that stormy part, because of the influence and the resources that you were able to identify, and then being able to cooperate and collaborate with our office, that we could then put our own CARES money out there.
Yeah.
You've cast a broad shadow across our local economy, and that shadow has been an enormous blessing to
Well, thank you.
Tallahassee-Leon County. I don't know if this is where they cue the applause. If not, let me applaud you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a champion. You never required a trophy for such a designation, because it's been in your work, and what I know has been the impact of your leadership.
Well, thank you. Well, my mom always instilled in me, to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm just in a place right now where I'm so blessed. I've been given so much, and so many different opportunities, and good friends, and strong networks, and a great education, and willing
A
partners.
great
So,
education.
yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're both very blessed.
We are both very, very blessed, and I'm blessed, and we're blessed by our friendship. I just want all of our listeners to know that here yet again on our Capturing Champions broadcast, we brought a true champion, Keith Bowers, to come and share with us and be a part of this important conversation and talk about what we know has been the enormous impact the FAMU Small Business Development Center has had on our local community. And I can tell from his comments and what he has shared with us today that for our local economy and for the FAMU Small Business Development Center, the best is yet to come. Thanks for being here
Thank
with
you,
us,
Daryl.
Keith.